The Empire believed they had ended humanity forever. 3,000 years ago, their massive fleet surrounded Earth and burned everything. Cities turned to ash. Oceans boiled away. Mountains crumbled into dust. The beautiful blue planet became a dead rock floating in space. They watched from their ships and laughed. They celebrated their greatest victory. They had destroyed the most dangerous species in the galaxy before it could spread beyond its home system. But they made one terrible mistake. They did not check if everyone was dead. Deep beneath the surface of Mars, in hidden tunnels that stretched for hundreds of kilometers, 12 million humans survived. They watched through secret satellites as they burned. They heard the screams through communication channels. They saw their families die. Children lost parents. Parents lost children. An entire civilization was erased in a single day. Commander stood in the command center as the last transmission from Earth went silent. She was 32 years old. Her husband and 3 children had been in Moscow when the attack came. She did not cry. She did not scream. She simply made a promise. One day, humanity would return. One day, they would pay for every life they took. The survivors worked in silence for the first 100 years. They expanded the tunnels. They built underground cities. They grew food in massive hydroponic farms lit by artificial suns. They kept their population small and careful. Every resource was precious. Every person had a purpose. They taught their children about Earth. They showed them pictures of blue skies and green forests. They told them stories about oceans so vast you could not see the other side. And they taught them to hate. They forgot about humanity. They ruled their empire across 1,000 star systems. They enslaved dozens of species. They believed they were the masters of the galaxy. Why would they remember some primitive creatures they had killed 3,000 years ago? Humans were nothing but a footnote in their history books. A minor threat eliminated before it could become dangerous. But in their hidden tunnels, humans were changing. They were evolving, not just their bodies but their minds and their technology. The first 500 years were spent surviving. The next 500 years were spent learning. Human scientists studied every piece of alien technology they could find. They captured scout ships that came too close to the solar system. They took them apart piece by piece. They learned how faster-than-light travel worked. They discovered the secrets of energy weapons. They improved everything they found. By the year 1000, humans had ships that could cross the galaxy in weeks instead of years. By the year 1500, they had weapons that could crack planets in half. By the year 2000, they had created artificial intelligence that could think 1,000,000 times faster than any organic brain. But they did not attack. They were not ready. They needed more time. Admiral was born in the underground city of New Hope. He never saw a real sky until he was 40 years old. His grandmother had told him stories about Earth every night before bed. She described the smell of rain on hot pavement. She talked about the sound of birds singing in the morning. She made him promise that he would see Earth again someday. She died believing that promise would come true. Rose through the military ranks quickly. He was smart, brave, and completely dedicated to the mission. Every human knew the mission. It was taught in schools. It was discussed at dinner tables. It was the reason they woke up every morning. One day they would return to Earth. One day they would make the suffer. The preparation took 3,000 years. 3,000 years of building ships in secret asteroid bases. 3,000 years of training soldiers in virtual reality simulations. 3,000 years of gathering intelligence about weaknesses. 3,000 years of waiting for the perfect moment. That moment finally came. The Empire was fighting a war against another species called the. Both sides were exhausted. Their fleets were scattered across the galaxy. Their defenses were weak. Looked at the intelligence reports and smiled for the first time in years. It was time. The human fleet emerged from hiding like ghosts rising from graves. 10,000 warships moved through space in perfect formation. Each ship was crewed by soldiers who had trained their entire lives for this moment. Each soldier carried the weight of 3,000 years of anger in their hearts. The first colony they reached was called Prime. It was a wealthy world with 10 billion inhabitants. They had never seen a human before. They did not know what was coming. Opened a communication channel to the planet. His face appeared on every screen across Prime. He spoke slowly and clearly so there would be no misunderstanding. 3,000 years ago, your ancestors burned our world. They killed 8 billion of our people. They thought we were finished. They were wrong. We have returned, and we will show you no mercy. The fleet stationed at Prime tried to respond. Their ships were old and slow compared to human vessels. The battle lasted exactly 7 minutes. Every warship was destroyed. Not a single human ship was damaged. Then the bombardment began. Human weapons rained down on cities. Buildings collapsed. Roads melted. They ran and screamed, but there was nowhere to hide. In 12 hours, Prime looked exactly like Earth had looked 3,000 years ago, a burned and broken world. Watched from his command ship, he felt nothing. This was justice. This was what they deserved. News of the attack spread across the galaxy like fire. The Emperor demanded to know what had happened. When his advisors told him that humans had returned, he laughed. He called it impossible. Humans were dead. Everyone knew that, but the reports kept coming. More colonies attacked, more worlds burned, more dead. The Emperor stopped laughing. He gathered what remained of his fleet and prepared to defend the. Surely the humans would come there eventually. He was right. The human fleet arrived in the home system 6 months after the first attack. By then, they had destroyed 47 worlds. Billions of were dead. The once mighty empire was crumbling. The fleet met the humans in orbit around their sun. It was the largest space battle in galactic history. 3,000 ships against 10,000 human vessels. They fought bravely. They knew they were fighting for their survival, but it was not enough. Human ships moved through the formation like wolves among sheep. Their weapons punched through shields as if they were made of paper. Their pilots were faster, smarter, and more determined. Every human pilot knew exactly what they were fighting for. They carried the memories of Earth in their hearts. The battle lasted 2 days. When it ended, the fleet was completely destroyed. Not a single enemy ship remained. The path to them was open. Emperor watched from his palace as human ships filled the sky. He had ruled them for 300 years. He had conquered dozens of species. He had never known fear. Now he understood what it felt like. He tried to send a message of surrender. He offered to give the humans anything they wanted. He promised to free all their slaves. He begged for mercy. Received the message on his command ship. He read it carefully. Then he deleted it without responding. The bombardment of the began at exactly midnight local time. It was the same hour that Earth had been attacked 3,000 years ago. This was intentional. Humans had long memories. For 3 days, human weapons fell on cities. Palaces crumbled. Factories exploded. Monuments to greatness were reduced to rubble. The population fled to the countryside, but there was no escape. Human drones hunted them through forests and mountains. Human soldiers landed on the surface to complete the destruction. When it was over, they was as dead as Earth. The empire that had ruled 1,000 star systems was finished. The species that had believed themselves masters of the galaxy was reduced to scattered refugees hiding in the darkness of space. Landed on the surface of the burned world. He walked through the ruins of their capital city. He found the spot where the emperor's palace had stood. Now it was just a crater filled with ash and broken stone. He took a handful of dirt from the crater. He would bring it back to the human fleet. He would show it to his people. He would tell them that the mission was complete. But the mission was not truly complete. There was one more thing to do. The human fleet traveled back to Earth. For the first time in 3,000 years, humans looked upon their original. It was still dead, still burned, still broken, but it was theirs. Stood on the bridge of his ship and looked down at the gray and lifeless planet. Tears ran down his face. He thought about his grandmother and her stories about rain and birds. He thought about all the generations who had lived and died in underground tunnels, dreaming of this moment. "We kept our promise," he whispered. "We came home." The reconstruction of Earth began immediately. Human technology could heal the planet. It would take centuries, but one day there would be blue oceans again. One day there would be green forests. One day children would play under open skies and feel real sunlight on their faces. Other species in the galaxy watched humanity with new eyes. They had called humans weak and primitive. They had been wrong. Humans were patient. Humans were determined. Humans never forgot and never forgave. The galaxy learned an important lesson that day. You can hurt humanity. You can burn their cities. You can kill billions of their people, but you cannot destroy them. They will survive. They will grow stronger. They will wait as long as necessary. And when the time is right, they will return. 3,000 years of hatred. 3,000 years of planning. 3,000 years of waiting. In the end, humanity had proven something that the entire galaxy would remember forever. Never underestimate humans.